If your definition of having a good time does not include putting on leggings and an oversized t-shirt and eating carbs, like I don't.
It's not a good time.
We're probably not going to make this.
I don't want to meet you at the gym.
Sister.
Yeah.
Thank you for having a pajama party with me.
It's my pleasure, of course.
Us doing this is like bringing back all kinds of memories.
Yes, much memories.
Having a sister is like having a built-in friend.
For most.
Yeah, for most people.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are surprised at our relationship.
Yeah, what do you think that it's rare?
I was talking to Brendan the other day. I feel like maybe because I was talking to him about how we're always together, and other couples look at us kind of like, y'all are weird. And we look at other couples like, y'all weird. Like, why don't you want to be together? And he was like, maybe we are abnormal. Like, our relationship is not the norm that you see everywhere else. And I kind of agree, because I've seen a lot of sister relationships, but none like ours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess maybe because we are the only two people who have perspective on what it means to grow up the way that we have grown up.
Yeah.
So when we talk about something with our mom or something with our dad, like, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think the older I get, the more I realize just how challenging it is to have genuine, long-lasting friendships.
Yeah. I think that having a sister gave me an opportunity to know how to have relationships outside of sisterhood, but it also a little bit thwarted my perception in relationships, because I would put the expectation on my friends to be as loyal and as understanding and as relatable as you. And they couldn't meet that. And so it's like, this isn't what I know a sister relationship to be.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn, like, there's only one sissy. Like, I call a lot of people sis, but I only have one sissy.
I think one of the things that I'm learning about friendship, especially as I've like gotten older and become more aware of myself and my history and my tendencies, that a lot of the friendships that I valued in the past, I only valued because the only thing we had in common were our insecurities. And the more that I overcame and confronted those insecurities, we no longer had that in common.
Yeah, I definitely can definitely relate to that. Growing up, I think a lot we were trying to be normal, trying to fit in, trying to let people know that we were down to earth. Like, you don't have to be afraid we're not toting Bibles around all day or quoting scriptures every second. But there is a responsibility that has been given to us. And I think that once I was able to stop putting the expectation on my relationships, and I started to really kind of look at me, then I was able to have better relationships, because I lowered those expectations. Like, you're not going to be able to fulfill everything for me.
Yeah. I think that like whole notion, and I do think that there are some people who have like best friends where we like just cover everything, but I think probably a more healthy perspective on friendships is not looking for one person to give all of that to, but to be content in getting pieces of that from different people.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the things that I've learned to do. The other thing is that like the more that I like pursue my purpose and work on my marriage, I don't know that I feel like I have a lot of time for the types of friendships I had before.
Well, do you think that it's that you don't have time for those types of friendships, or you have outgrown that type of friendship?
I've outgrown that type of friendship.
That's how I feel. I feel like I've outgrown some of my friendships in the past, not because they weren't good people, but just I'm not in that space of need anymore.
I just feel like for me, if your definition of having a good time does not include putting on leggings and an oversized t-shirt and eating carbs, like
it's not a good time.
We're probably not going to make this.
I don't want to meet you at the gym.
I don't want to meet you at the gym. I don't want to get up and go anywhere ever.
Never.
But I'm always getting up and going places. So
how do you do it? Because, like, literally, if I could stay at home forever, like, work from home, I do my grocery shopping online. Like, if I could just be at home all the days of my life, I would do it.
I would too. Trey gets so like antsy, like he just had surgery not too long ago, and so he's been home and he's been down, and I've been living my best life.
He's like that.
Trey likes to get up and go places. We can go do 3 services in LA or fly to Denver and come back, and he'll be like, "You want to go to a movie?" And
I want to go to bed.
I want to go home.
Let's go to sleep.
I want to go home.
Yes.
But no, I think that, but Teray has honestly become my best friend.
For me, I guess getting into marriage, I realized that becoming one wasn't like an overnight thing. Because I will admit, like, I kind of thought it was like a wham bam, we're good type deal. But it was a process of developing and growing and listening and being quiet and not, jumping back and being okay with having someone who was not the boss of me, but was over me.
Yeah.
And so once I was able to like rest in that I have someone who wants to fight for me, wants to protect me, wants to be my friend, wants to watch movies with me, wants to hang out with me. I have somebody I can call. Everybody else just seemed to get smaller and smaller.
I've had to that marriage lesson has been a big lesson for me.
Listen, you learned it better than anybody I know.
Why you say that?
I feel like you bounced back beautifully. Of course, there's a lot of pain, a lot of healing, but as far as one, I admire that you were open to the possibility that there was love still out there.
I wasn't.
It seemed like you were very open.
Well, I wasn't. Let me tell you.
So yeah, tell me.
Okay, so my goal after I went through my divorce,
right?
I was in a bad marriage, and after that bad marriage, I just knew that at the end of the day, I never wanted to be in a situation where I was selling myself short again. Mm-hmm. And I just figured, I've been a mom since I was 14 years old. I went through this bad marriage. Like, maybe I'm just going to do me. So, I wasn't really open to love. I was open to, people taking me out to dinner and, putting nice things in my closet. But, this idea of, I'm just sharing my truth here. But
that is, really shocking for me.
But let me tell you, what changed my mind was...
It had to have been him then.
Oh, it was only him.
Yeah, because I can remember that day like it was yesterday. When you went on the date.
Oh, you were there.
Oh my gosh. I thought that he had killed you.
Cora, why are you
I was texting you. I was texting her.
She literally
I'm
thought
going to call
you
the
killed
police.
Me.
I am going to call them. What restaurant are you at?
Okay, so I was in LA and I was filming Dr. Phil. And after I filmed Dr. Phil, Teray was taking me to dinner. My sister was there with me because we were doing Dr. Phil.
Yes.
And that was a big deal. And so I told her I'm going to go out to dinner with this guy who I met.
He's a really nice guy.
I told her where we were going because, she's my sister. I told her where we were going, what time we were going, et cetera, et cetera. And we stayed and talked all night long. Literally, we closed the restaurant down. Yes. I didn't look at my phone one time during dinner.
They closed the restaurant down.
Yes.
Because I called the restaurant looking for you, and no one would say anything.
Yeah. So
when you came back, I could see. That's why I said it's shocking to me that you weren't open, because when you came back, it seemed like you were open. Like it seemed like this is what I've been waiting for this whole time, and you were so excited like a little girl. It was like he had picked you up in a chariot.
That's how it felt. Mom said that she hadn't seen me smile like that since before.
It was beautiful. We stayed up for hours after the fact just talking about how great it was and how nice of a person he was. I think that when you have a heart that can be held again, so maybe you weren't open, but you had a heart that could be held again, that the right person grabbed it.
I think I don't, I think that I trusted that I just trusted my heart.
Gotcha.
And so when you don't trust your heart, you hand your heart over to people who can't be trusted with your heart, because at the end of the day, we're in relationship with a reflection of ourselves, right? And so I came to a place where I trusted my heart. Like, How? I just embraced that there was nothing I could do to change what had happened in my past. And that if I was looking for someone to love it, that I should be the first one in line.
Wow. Powerful awareness.
I just wanted to be the first one in line. I just realized you were sitting up here regretting or resenting a decision you made at 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah.
And you still have all of this life left to live, and you can spend the rest of your life being defined by this one moment, or you can decide, I did it, there's nothing I can do to change it, but I can show myself and them how to love yourself beyond those moments. And so I just embraced it. And I think what really helped me is when I started blogging and connecting with other women and seeing like I'm not the only one who has something.
Absolutely. That's what helped me with infertility. When I was able to see, okay, it's not just me. Because you will feel like, I'm the only one going through what I'm going through. I'm the only one getting a divorce. I'm the only one going through infertility. I'm the only one. It's nobody who understands.
Yeah.
And so once I started blogging and was able to get testimonies from women who said, I had it, I have it, I had a baby, I had it, I had a baby. It was, I tell people all the time who tell me like, I was diagnosed and I got pregnant. I say, you are just fuel to the faith that I already have that God's going to do it. But I think it goes back to that choice, you know, making that decision, like you said, to not be bound by the bad choices.
Right.
But making a choice that, hey, I'm a different person now. I'm in a different space. I have an opportunity to make a better decision for me. And it really goes to wanting to be the best version of yourself. I think that's what happened for me is I wanted to be the best version of myself, and I had to stop making decisions that detoured me from that version. Yeah, when you have that vision, I think that's for your marriage, that's for your personal life, that's for your health, for your whatever. I have a vision in mind. Yeah.
And so now I have to run all of my choices through this vision. And I have to ask myself, is this decision going to get me closer to that vision?
Exactly.
And if it is not, am I willing to take the extra time to get to the vision that this detour is going to require?
Yep, and what's important about that is it's not a faith thing. It's a you thing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I love about it is it's not just for the Christian or the atheist or the Catholic or whatever denomination. You should want to be the best version of yourself no matter what religion you are. And you should want to be making the decisions that help you to become that version.
So you talked a little bit about your issues with infertility.
Yes.
And how you thought you were the only one who was dealing with that.
For my age, for sure. I guess for as long as I can remember, I've battled just with development, to be honest, reproductively, more specifically. And so when I got diagnosed, it was not just, is there someone going through it, but is there a 22-year-old that's going through it that can say, this isn't just you.
Yeah.
And when I went and I looked, I couldn't find any 20-year-olds. And I found out later that a lot of people are dealing with infertility. Of course, from my own personal definition, but just from a medical standpoint. But it's such a shamed topic.
Yeah.
That a lot of people don't like to talk about it. There are symptoms that come with infertility based off of many different diagnoses. You could have many different symptoms. And for women, especially wives, you want to give your husband a seed. You know, that's like the goal. I want to be able to give my husband his own blood child. And so I had to first learn how to love something that wasn't of me. Because I learned how to love, family and friends, but to be a mother to someone that I did not birth and having to learn how to love them and not be bitter about infertility was a very difficult, and I can admit still difficult process for me to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like every year I love my kids more than I did before, but for so many more reasons than your average birth mother would have. You know, it's just like I can really see my spirit in them. So I had to start looking for things. You know, maybe we don't have the same eyes, but we have the same laugh. Maybe we don't have the same hands, but we clap the same. You know, I had to start figuring out how to love something that I did not birth like I birthed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I never hear anyone talk about that. I mean, it just makes it seem like, I know it's love at first sight, because like I have Amari in my life and Tilda in my life, and it is very much so love at first sight.
Yes.
But I never thought about the perspective of day to day finding new things to love about your child instead of discovering parts of you in that child.
Exactly. I have to find me in another way in them. And it's crazy because both of them look just like Brandon in their own way. And he's like, I didn't do it. But they do. And they both mesh our personalities so well. But it's that look. And then it's not giving up.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, we fostered to adopt Mari. And fostering is a devastating process, just overall. We lost some kids, we gained some kids, we adopted some kids, we had to let go of some kids. And so it was just a grueling process. And I can remember when we first got Mari, just feeling like she doesn't love me, and I love her, and I want her to have the best of things, but she doesn't love me, and I don't know how to get her to love me. And my friend Jada was like, well, maybe we should send her back. And so I had to figure out, like, okay, when you birth a child, you don't get to just send them back because they don't act like you expected them to act.
Yeah.
So since I can't send her back because I know she's mine, what is going to connect us? And so we connected through dance. We connected through just that whole mommy and me thing. And I had to start asking her, like, what kind of mommy were you expecting? Because I never thought to ask her that.
Yeah.
I asked her maybe 2 years ago, like, what kind of mommy were you expecting? What kind of brother were you expecting? Like, when you thought of family, what were you looking for?
Wow.
And she was like, well, I thought my mommy would bake cookies with me, and we would read books, and, you know, she would discipline me, but she'd have a really big family because I wanted to be loved by lots and lots of people. And so it was just cool to see that she had built a vision for herself.
Right.
And to be able to hear her like really verbalize it and get it all out was very interesting.
How have you and Brandon maritally like navigated infertility and adoption? Like, is there guilt? Was there guilt, shame, and how did you address it and overcome it?
I felt guilty when I was diagnosed. I called our engagement off, and he was still showing up. And I thought, like, why are you still showing up? You could go and you could get anybody else pregnant. You know, you could have a normal wife. And he was like, we're going to fight this thing together. We're going to win together. We're going to lose together. But I still felt like that guilt. And every time, you know, the time of the month would come, it was just like more shame, more. I just really wanted to be that for him. I think what helped me is Brandon does not care if I birth a child or not. And he didn't marry me to become a mother to his children. He married me to be his wife.
Yeah.
And so he never gave me guilt. He never gave me shame. He never made me feel bad. Even when I felt bad and wanted to cry, and I'd have like these up and down moments, and he would just hold me. But he never made me feel bad about it. And I can say that without Brandon, I feel like I would have been in my dark place for a lot longer than I was, because he really undergirded me. He really fought with me, prayed with me. When our first IVF cycle failed, he was like, let's do the adoption. Let's go for it. He saw a picture of Amari. He's like, that's our daughter. I saw Tuga. I'm like, that's our son. And so it wasn't a marital fight against each other. We went into marriage knowing we would have to fight infertility together. And we stayed together to fight it.
So maybe there's a woman who's going through infertility and her husband's saying all of those things. I love you. I didn't marry you because I wanted you to pop out all of these babies. I married you and I want to be here for you. But because of her own feelings about it, she can't accept that love. Like, what would you say to her?
I would say give yourself time to grieve the vision that you hoped for not happening. Allow your husband time to grieve also, because they can be telling you all of that, but there's still, internally things they have to heal from. We all have that vision. We sing it as kids, that kissing in the tree, first comes love, then comes marriage, and the baby carriage. It's just what we know. So give your husband time to grieve that what he was expecting, it may come in a different way. The other thing I say to a lot of women is be open to the possibility that God wants you to be a different kind of mother. I felt like the only way I could be a mom is if I pushed him out. And I wouldn't be able to love him as much as I could unless I pushed him out. And God really opened up my heart and my mind to birthing doesn't make you a mom.
Right. I
really had to keep reiterating that. And Brandon, I had to keep telling him that as well. Like, me birthing doesn't make you a father.
Yeah.
But it's the time we put into our kids. It's the nourishment that we put into our kids. And don't look for someone to blame. Because it's easy to do that. It's easy to be like, well, you're the problem. No, you're the problem. Because that's what fertility clinics do.
Oh, wow.
They try to find out who's the problem. And so you leave the fertility clinic thinking you're the problem.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a husband that's compassionate, you end up going into a really depressive place. So to the same, I hear women who have that wonderful supportive husband who's telling them, and then I hear husbands who are beating their wives up about it. And I thought you were going to be able to have a child. I thought we were going to be able to do this. And so really just wrapping your head around, God may give me my promise, but it may not come the way that I thought it was going to come.
Yeah.
And to be okay with that is very, very important. I had to be okay with God is still gonna make me a mom. It just may not happen the way that I expected it.
Yeah. And so now you go out sharing this story all over the country.
Yes.
All over the world.
Yes.
Sharing with other women, not just about infertility, but about just in your faith.
Yes.
And how your faith isn't always fertile ground.
Well, yeah, because when I got diagnosed, my idea was, okay, Lord, if I'm gonna go through this, you gotta make it count. I wanted to help somebody. I wanted to encourage someone. And so when I looked up infertility, it was that whole inability to produce. And I find that we, men, women, young, old, big, fat, tall, short, all have areas in our lives that we're infertile.
Yeah.
You may be really great in business, but your home is a wreck.
Right.
That's an infertile place for you. You're not productive in that. Or vice versa. You may be great at home, but you're not good at your job. You're not productive at your job. And so my idea was, how do you produce productivity? And the only way to do that is by faith. The only way you can be productive is by believing that you can.
How do you define faith?
What is faith? Well, faith for me it is an embodiment. It's an action. I came up with faithing it because I felt like faithing was a real life word. Like, it's something that you do. It's something that you move in. Every step that I take, every move that I make is through the trust and belief that God is going to do it. No different than, like, we trust and believe that if Daddy say he gonna make some cakes, he gonna make some cakes. You know, if Daddy says he's preaching on Sunday, he's gonna preach on Sunday. If Daddy says I'm going into surgery and it's not gonna look good, it's not gonna look good. And we trust and believe what our Father says to us.
Yeah.
Faith is like that for me. I trust and believe what the Word of God says concerning me, and I will not be shaken from what I know to be true. And what I tell people all the time is your faith is leveled by how much word you know. If faith cometh by hearing and hearing by the word of God, if you don't have a good relationship with the word of God, you don't have a good relationship with your faith.
Yeah.
And so faith for me is the word. It is that belief. It is that anchor in which I stand in, knowing that whatever it is that I'm going through, good, bad, and indifferent, God knows the end. Mm-hmm. He knows the way I take, when I'm wrong and when I'm right, and I believe it will work out. You know, I believe it will work in my favor. That's my faith. I believe it will work. And sometimes it doesn't look like it's going to work.
Yeah.
When I preached in Denver, I told them, it's not supposed to look like provision is coming.
Right.
And so for me, that's what that faith is. I believe provision is coming even when it doesn't look like it. And I won't let people who are waiting to see it tell me how to believe. Mm-hmm. Some people have to see it to believe it. I believe it even if I don't see it.
Yeah. Well, your faith is inspiring so many people. Did you ever think that this would be your life?
Yes. Faith, no. Ministering, helping people, healing people, using my story in any way to help, absolutely. I just felt like
that's true. You said that in kindergarten.
Yeah, that's who I'm gonna be. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna preach and help people. That's what I was planning to do. I didn't know how much of what Dad does is anchored in faith until I started doing it.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think I would be like this general of faith, but I believe that God has given me an opportunity to be a giant of faith, because I really do honor faith. I honor the power of faith. I honor the authenticity of faith. I honor what faith can do for you. And I believe that no one really talks about the pain that having faith brings.
Yeah.
You know, we all say, you know, give your life to God, but we don't say you're going to go through hell after. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like, give your life to Jesus. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be great. And then you go through hell and it's like, I don't want to give my life to Jesus. No, I want to be a backslider for the rest of my life. And so I get to be that person to say, yeah, you're going to give your life to Jesus. Yeah, you're going to break some ceilings, but you're going to bleed too.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt too. You're going to cry too. You're going to go through some suffering.
Yeah.
And if you can trust that God is the healer to whatever your hurt may be, everything will work out well.
So you've got two sisters here, one who knew her purpose from a very early age, and another one who discovered her purpose after trouble. Lots of trouble. But all of it was in God's timing.
Yes.
And a part of God's plan. We grew up in the same household, received the same teaching, had the same parents, but still we had different paths to take. And so to know that no matter what you've gone through or what you've seen or been exposed to, that at any moment your life can change is always hopeful to so many people.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing that God has honored our gifts and given us an opportunity to take what has been both a really great advantage of being Dad's daughters and a disadvantage, and work it for our good. And to be able to be the daughters helps us how to help our children better as well. And that's my biggest thing, is being able to do it a little better with my kids than it was done for us.
Well, listen, I'm going to let you get back to changing the world.
And you too.
Yeah, we got things to do. Thank you for coming out.
It's my
John,
pleasure.
with me.
It's my pleasure.
I love you.
I love you too.